the distance formula. All right, basically Pythagoras' theorem when you think about it, because any 2 points on the number plane could become the hypotenuse, and you drop a vertical and you draw in a horizontal, becomes the two sides. Well, the horizontal would be the difference in the x values, and the vertical would be the difference in the y values. Hence where our formula then comes from, Pythagoras' theorem. Some people get hung up about, oh, it's important which number we put first and which one we put 7, and we have to be consistent. And actually you don't, because you're going to square it anyway. So did I do an example of that? There we go. -1,335. All right. But you'll notice in this, when I substituted in, I actually did the y values first. See, 5 minus 3. I mean, it doesn't matter. We're adding. So who cares if you put the x in first or the y in first? As long as you put the y's with the y's and the x with the x. I suppose that's the only mistake we could make, is you get what I mean. What do we end up with? Root 20, which is, of course, 2 root 5. Well, midpoint, I guess, is the other formula you saw. There it is. It's exactly what it says. It's the middle of 2 points. Well, the middle of anything is the average, and that's what you're doing. You're averaging the x values and you're averaging the y values. So, for example, here we go. And we have our answer. So midpoint, just averaging x and the y values. All right. Division of an interval. Now, the idea of division of an interval is only actually in the extension course. So you won't get a question on division of an interval in a 2-unit paper. Mind you, if you want to use the idea, there's nothing stopping you using the idea. But it is part of, that's why you'll notice on the cover page there I've written extension next to division of an interval. There is a formula for division of an interval. Just don't ask me what it is, because I don't know. All right? I've never used a formula for this in my life. The only division of an interval that a 2-unit student would ever do is midpoint. And when you think about it, it is division of an interval, but the division happens to be in the ratio 1 to 1. And that's about all they're expected to handle. All right, so in extension 1, it could be any ratio whatsoever. And it could be internal or external. So what does that mean? Here's an interval xy. I can put a point anywhere in the middle. Now, how the question is written is very important. Because it's not 1 to 1, if I say divides in the ratio m to n, then how they've named the interval becomes important. So a to x is the m, and a to y is the n. Of course, they could have said divides yx in the ratio n to m, because in this case they've named y first. So therefore, a to y is n, a to m. So really important how we read those questions to make sure we know which piece is which. Now, external ratio. Whoop, there it is. It just means the point's on the outside of the interval. So if you produce the line, but the same rules apply. M to n. So a to x would be m, a to y would be n. I'm going to go through just different types of questions and hopefully cover the whole lot of them. Find the coordinates of P that joins this interval, divides this interval in the ratio 1 to 3. So this is how I do it. So I've never used a formula in my life for this. I simply write down the endpoints of the interval in the same way they've named it. So, okay, -3, 4, 5, 6. Then I write down the ratio, and again in the order that they've done it. So 1 to 3. And then I just draw a cross. And then I write my answer down. Now how I write my answer is I set it up, set a parentheses with 2 vinculums, separated by a comma. A vinculum, of course, is a fraction bar. Add the 2 numbers in the ratio together. That goes on the bottom. So that's 4. And then I multiply along the crosses. So for the x values, I use the x values. 3 times -3, 1 times 5. And for the y values, I use the y values. 3 times 4, 1 times 6. And so there's our answer. Let's do an external division. The only difference with external division is the ratio is negative. So the ratio is negative. So we do exactly the same. We just need to make one of the numbers negative. So here we go. Write down the 2 points. Write down the ratio. Draw a cross. And let's see, add them together. 3. Multiply along the crosses. And bingo, we have our answer. Ooh, simplifies. 13.4. Okay. All right, let's say it says find the end point. So this time they've given us the point in the middle. Well, yes, it is in the middle because this one's internally in the ratio 2:3. Again, I'll set it up exactly the same. So 1/8 xy, that's the point I want to find in the ratio 2:3. Draw across. Now, I just have to create an equation that'll solve this for me. So, I know the answer to the x value is 1. Bottom of the fraction would be 5. Multiply along the crosses. There's my equation to find x. So I get 5 equals minus 3x plus 2x. I know the x value is 4. I'll do the same for the y value. I know the answer is going to be 4. Bottom of the fraction is still 5, of course. Multiply along the crosses. 3/8 are 24. 2y's are 2y. Solving that one, -2. So there's our point B, 4, -2. Okay, next type. An alternative way of doing that same question. Remember that question was, the point P divides the line segment AB internally in the ratio 2:3. If I just draw myself up a picture here. AB, P divides AB internally in the ratio 2:3. So I'd place P somewhere like that. That's the ratio 2:3. I can now change my question. Because remember, it's B that I want to find. The question could now be, B divides AP externally in the ratio 5:3. And then I'll just do an external division question. So let's just make sure it does work out. So minus 5:3 because it's external. Draw the crosses. And the answer is -2 on the bottom of the fraction. Multiply along the crosses. And the excitement builds as we get the same answer. So some people find it easier to do that. Rewrite the question. So we're just always doing an internal division or an external division and what have you. Well, yeah. All right, what about where it's 1, where we have to find the ratio? The point -3/8 divides in the ratio k/1. All right, so I'm going to just do exactly the same again. I'll draw the endpoints, the ratio, the cross, same as normal. So there's my endpoints, minus k/1 because they told me it's external. Along the crosses, I only really need to do one. Whether I do the x values or the y values, it should work out to be the same. So I've chosen the x values. I know the answer should be -3. So on the bottom I get minus k plus 1. So 3k minus 3 is 6. K is 3. And so therefore the ratio is 3:1. If they didn't give me the ratio, see they've said k/1, I'd just make the ratio something like m to n or something like that. And what I'd end up with is I'd end up with an equation that has both m and n in it, but I want to rewrite that equation as m over n because that'll be my ratio, and then the other side it'll come out to be what the ratio is. No. Okay, let's have a go at 5A.